When Rihanna showed Prince Harry around her home country, their interactions with the locals got way spicier than anyone expected. And that's not the only time things have gotten really awkward between the Sussexes and celebs. As soon as Meghan Markle's relationship with Harry became public knowledge, the British media started using her fresh face to spice up its coverage of the royals. In the book Revenge, Meghan, Harry, and the War Between the Windsors, royal biographer Tom Bower claimed that the Sussexes became paranoid that some loose-lipped members of their inner circle were leaking information to reporters. They were particularly suspicious of Victoria Beckham. Her husband David denied the accusation when Harry called him, but the damage was already done. It was a 2017 report by The Sun that raised Meghan's suspicions. The piece in question was a seemingly innocuous account of Victoria giving Meghan some recommendations for facialists and salons in London. As a source explained to the US Sun in 2020, it later turned out the leak probably came from a beauty salon. According to The Insider, this misunderstanding led to tension for a while, but everyone eventually patched things up well enough for the Beckhams to attend Harry and Meghan's wedding. During a March 2023 episode of Watch What Happens Live, Rebel Wilson discussed the time that she introduced her mom to the Duke and Duchess of Sussex. It was at a polo match in Santa Barbara, California in 2022, and it wasn't exactly the most comfortable moment.
Met Harry, could not have been nicer, but then Meghan was not as cool.
Oh, really?
It wasn't as naturally warm.
At the time of the meeting, Wilson had recently cracked a joke about Harry while hosting the BAFTAs. As she quipped during the show, from drama to horror to fantasy, Harry and Meghan's interview with Oprah had it all. However, Markle's iciness may have been unrelated to the joke, as Wilson's mother wasn't exactly on her best behavior.
And then my mum, being Australian, just asked her all these slightly rude questions.
Oh,
and I was like, Mum,
what? What was she asking?
Where are your kids?
Wilson was sympathetic to Markle as she finds this type of questioning to be a form of mommy shaming, which she too has experienced since becoming a mom herself. As she put it during an appearance on the Life Uncut podcast, I was shocked at the criticism because Chris Hemsworth goes to the gym and people aren't yelling, "Where's your kids?" But why do they do it to every woman? When Andy Cohen appeared on Meghan Markle's Archetypes podcast in November 2022, he learned that she was a Real Housewives fan during her time on Suits. She even tried to get booked on Watch What Happens Live but got turned down. Cohen admitted that this was a big mistake. As he put it is now the biggest blunder in the 13 years of the show. Cohen had to make another embarrassing confession, as he didn't remember meeting Meghan twice before. The first time happened before Suits was even on the air. She approached him at an event and began excitedly chattering away. Looking back, Cohen was worried that he behaved regrettably, but Meghan laughed and assured him that he had nothing to worry about. Cohen later addressed the podcast conversation during his SiriusXM show Andy Cohen Live. As he admitted, it's compelling and awkward. When Margot Robbie encountered Prince Harry at Suki Waterhouse's housewarming party in 2016, she wasn't exactly starstruck. As she recalled to Jimmy Fallon during an appearance on The Tonight Show, she dropped something outside the house and Harry helped her look for it. But at the time, she had no idea that a prince had come to her rescue. Later, Robbie hopped in a photo booth with a group that included her good pal Cara Delevingne, as well as Harry, whom she still didn't recognize. As Robbie put it, he left his crown at home, thereby making it more difficult to identify him as royalty. He was, however, sporting some eyewear that made him look like someone else.
Actually, when I saw him in those glasses, I was like, oh my God, I didn't know Ed Sheeran was at the party. And, and he got really offended.
Oh, no, he did not.
He's like, shut up.
But Harry apparently got over being mistaken for his fellow red-headed Englishman. Robbie later obtained the Duke's phone number, and as she revealed to Extra, he's pretty quick on text actually. Unlike me, I write back 4 days later, weeks later sometimes. When Prince Harry met Neve Campbell at a party in London, he didn't creep her out by asking if she liked scary movies, but he did leave her a bit flummoxed. As she recalled on Dax Shepard's Armchair Expert podcast, "We had a little dance, and he told me that he grew up with a poster of me on his wall. I was like, where? In Buckingham Palace?" Harry later invited the star of Scream to a charity event and was apparently eager to chat with her again. She brought along her partner, British-American actor J.J. Field, and naturally planned to sit beside him. Her royal host, however, had other plans. As she recounted, "Some older gentleman came up to me and told me that I was being seated next to Harry. This placed Field in a somewhat uncomfortable position, but as Campbell recalled, JJ's a Brit, so he was like, okay, whatever, I know how to do this game. And so, Field respected the prince's wishes and accepted a different chair elsewhere. Sadly though, Campbell didn't spill any details about what she and Harry talked about. When Beyoncé met Meghan Markle and Prince Harry at the UK premiere of The Lion King in 2019, she'd already paid tribute to the Duchess of Sussex more than once. Earlier that year, she and Jay-Z filmed their Brit Awards acceptance speech in front of a painting of Meghan wearing a crown. The Carters later posed for a photo in front of the same painting. Beyoncé shared it on Instagram along with a message for Meghan with the caption reading, "In honor of Black History Month, we bow down to one of our melanated Monas. Congrats on your pregnancy. We wish you so much joy." During the Lion King premiere, the Sussexes warmly greeted the Carters. They then struck up a conversation with the movie's director, Jon Favreau, with Harry quipping, "Next time anyone needs any extra voiceover work, we can make ourselves available." And then Meghan added, "That's really why we're here, to pitch." Part of that exchange was witnessed by Beyoncé, who scratched her nose, laughed, and looked away. Some observers believed that Beyoncé's body language indicated that she was experiencing secondhand embarrassment. Nevertheless, Markle later got her own Disney gig by narrating the 2020 nature documentary Elephant. When country singer Mickey Guyton's parents joined their daughter at Super Bowl 56 in February 2022, they didn't expect to bump into a British prince. Guyton was performing the national anthem, and she wasn't with her folks when they met Prince Harry and posed for some photos with him. The singer later recounted to Entertainment Tonight,
"My mom was like, man, does anyone tell you look like Prince Harry?"
Harry attempted to make a dramatic reveal by removing the hat he had on, apparently believing that this would make it obvious that he was the real deal. But Guyton's mom still didn't realize the truth until her daughter was able to set her straight. Guyton also got her own photo with Harry, and she even made an effort to make him feel like he was back home with his family, and all of their protocol about the proper way to greet royalty. As she tweeted, "I met Prince Harry. He was just lovely. I even curtsied in my tracksuit." Idris Elba is an accomplished thespian who has won over legions of fans in a variety of major movies and TV shows. But while he's used to being offered a motley assortment of acting roles, Prince Harry managed to leave him flabbergasted with a once-in-a-lifetime job offer. As the actor recalled on an episode of the Ellen DeGeneres show, he goes, "Would you DJ at my wedding?" I was like, "Is this a joke? Are you joking?" And then he's serious. But even if Elba had wanted to say no, how could he turn down such an important royal request? Ultimately, he took the responsibility of keeping the dance floor packed very seriously.
They're good friends, and I wanted to make sure they had a great time, so it was a lot of pressure.
Harry's request also meant that Elba would have to field endless questions about the nuptials. When ET Canada asked him in 2023 who really cut a rug at the reception, he responded, "Meghan was the one that was really letting it go. She just had a lot of fun. It was her wedding, so she had the greatest time." According to Meghan Markle, Ellen DeGeneres convinced her to make a life-altering decision, although the talk show host has no recollection of their encounter. During a 2017 interview with Reader's Digest Best Health, Meghan shared a detailed anecdote about running into DeGeneres and her wife Portia de Rossi at an animal shelter. As Meghan recalled, Ellen goes, "Is that your dog?" And I said no, and she's like, "You have to take that dog." Meghan claimed that DeGeneres even pressured her to think up a name on the spot, which she did, Bogart. As DeGeneres was leaving, she even returned to the window to demand one final time that Meghan adopt the dog. The pressure paid off for Bogart, who got to go home with the future Duchess. The following year, DeGeneres brought up this story during an episode of her talk show, though she claimed to her audience that she didn't remember any of it. Still, she argued that she deserved an invite to Meghan and Harry's wedding for ensuring that Meghan became a dog mom. DeGeneres suggested that without the love of a loyal canine companion, Meghan would have gone on a downward spiral by losing her job and becoming a criminal with no hope of meeting a prince. As the host then quipped, "So I saved her life." Members of the royal family are often accused of breaking protocol when they hug members of the public. But when Prince Harry met education activist Malala Yousafzai during the We Day charity event in 2014, he apparently didn't realize that her Muslim faith has strict rules about physical contact. As Craig Kielburger, the event's co-founder, recalled to Hello Magazine, Prince Harry put his arm around Malala for a photo and very loudly in the corner, Malala's mother in Urdu shouts, "No, no, no," which translated to, "Not unless you marry her can you touch her." Harry's face then turned as red as his hair. Yousafzai was also reportedly visibly mortified, and she and Harry took care to avoid any physical contact at all as the photo was taken. The two of them met again in 2020, this time along with Harry's wife, during International Day of the Girl. Harry didn't have to worry about making a similar mistake this time, as the COVID-19 pandemic forced them to have a virtual conversation. They had clearly put any awkwardness behind them as they discussed the importance of ensuring that girls have access to education. But Malala did manage to make Meghan laugh by coming at Harry with her biting wit.
I think it takes boys slightly longer to understand how important education is, but they get there in the end.
There was something holding Shawn Mendes back when he got the opportunity to meet Prince Harry and Meghan Markle. The royal couple never even knew that the pop singer endured an excessive amount of anxiety at their expense when he performed at Queen Elizabeth's 92nd birthday bash in 2018. He later described what happened when he stopped by the Ellen DeGeneres show. As he recalled, "This is going to be my biggest regret forever. I was walking down the halls and I see them in one room." Mendes thought that striking up a conversation with Meghan would be easy. For one thing, he mistakenly believed that she was Canadian like him, possibly because she lived in Toronto while filming Suits. But he didn't get a chance to even make that mistake anyway. As he admitted, "I walked in with this confidence, and the second they kind of felt me coming, I just turned around and my body went numb. I've never been so starstruck like that."
Usually, and I don't freak out like that, but I was surprised by how nervous I got in front of them, so yeah.
Before all that, Mendes had already survived an even more uncomfortable encounter with the Queen, as she didn't acknowledge his presence backstage. As he revealed, "You're not allowed to speak to her unless she speaks to you first." So it was like this very 10 minutes of just awkward silence. It was super weird. In 2016, Prince Harry enlisted Rihanna's help for the noble cause of encouraging people to get tested for HIV. Harry was in the pop star's home country of Barbados when he hastily arranged for the two of them to get tested together for World AIDS Day. The goal was to demonstrate how quick and easy the process is. He'd reportedly discussed the idea with her just one night prior after meeting her at a concert. The British prince and the pop princess also toured part of the capital of Bridgetown together. They were joined by an HIV counselor who told them some of the locals' favorite myths about the sex lives of royals, one of which is that they just don't have sex. Harry tried to steer the conversation in a more safe-for-work direction by asking if they also believe that royals have blue blood. But instead of receiving an answer, he had to stand there with Rihanna and hear another myth about how the royals don't have oral sex either. That sounds plenty embarrassing, but we're guessing that Harry's face was even redder in 2018 when Rihanna shared her expert advice on what he and Meghan Markle should wear on their wedding night. As she told Entertainment Tonight, "You could do whatever you want. It depends on how savage you want to be." When you play a member of the royal family on Netflix's The Crown and then encounter an actual royal, it must be nerve-wracking, especially when the royal is loyal viewer Prince Harry.
Do you fact check it while you watch it?
Yes, I do, actually.
But as Harry revealed during a 2021 appearance on The Late Late Show, he doesn't mind how the show exercises artistic license with the lives of his family members, as it still manages to capture the essence of royal life.
I'm way more comfortable with The Crown than I am seeing the stories written about my family or my wife or myself.
Harry is so cool with the show, in fact, that he even had a little bit of fun with one of its stars. Matt Smith played Harry's late grandfather, Prince Philip, on seasons 1 and 2, and he learned about Harry's viewership in an unforgettable way during a polo match.
And he rocked up to me and he went, "Granddad."
Granddad?
Yeah, because he'd watched the show. He'd watched the show.
Smith also revealed that a friend of his once asked the real Philip if he watched the show.
I have to ask, have you watched The Crown? And apparently turned around to him and went, "Don't be ridiculous."
What makes a diva? Is it all about over-the-top demands? Or is it more about the ability to sing like nobody else? According to Mariah Carey, it's all about how you wear the word. As she declared to The Guardian in 2020, "You think in the grand scheme of things in my life that really matters to me, being called a diva? I am that's right." But while Carey is a diva and proud of it, it got a little awkward when she tried to apply the same label to Meghan Markle. As the pop star put it during an appearance on Markle's podcast Archetypes, "You give us diva moments sometimes, Meghan." Meghan then shared her reaction to that remark by explaining to her listeners, "It stopped me in my tracks. I started to sweat a little bit. I started squirming in my chair in this quiet revolt, like, wait, what? No, what? How? But how could you? That's not true." Meghan revered Carey, and the idea that her idol might view her in a negative light was devastating. Luckily, Carey saved the Duchess from a sleepless night by explaining that her idea of a diva is someone who is poised, confident, and stylish. As she tweeted, "Yes, I called her a diva in the most fabulous, gorgeous, and empowering meaning of the word." When they voiced Timon and Pumbaa in 2019's The Lion King, Billy Eichner and Seth Rogen got to be best friends with royalty. But they later learned that properly greeting Prince Harry and Meghan Markle wasn't as simple as offering them a rotten log teeming with tasty bugs. During an episode of Jimmy Kimmel Live, Eichner revealed that preparing to meet the Sussexes at the London premiere of the movie was a bit like studying for a stressful test.
What makes you nervous is that in the days leading up to it, they email you a protocol of how you're supposed to greet Prince Harry and Meghan.
Eichner and Rogen also wondered what would happen if they didn't follow protocol when meeting the Sussexes.
I assume you get put in the Tower of London. Yeah, if it all goes wrong, I can't be thinking of the repercussions. I'd like to come back here one day.
The Daily Mail shared a video of a visibly nervous Eichner preparing to meet the royals on the red carpet and saying to Rogen, "I'm going to say pleasure to meet you. Is that bad? I'm going to say it. I'm going to say it." Eichner later confirmed on Twitter that he indeed settled on this greeting, and he wasn't shackled, hauled off, or thrown in a cell. As he recalled, "They were both super down to earth and lovely."